What's going on, everybody? You've reached another episode, edition, installment of the NRW Checkpoint with the two best hosts in gaming. Myself, WebsterStyle, the man, the voice of fragrance, and of course, Brian Sapph. Brian, how you doing today, sir?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. Mr. Talk and Play blerdcast himself. Let's talk. There's been a lot going on in gaming today, and we're not going to get to all of it, but I will say I am looking forward to oh man, I forget the name of the game. Anyway, don't matter anymore. Let's get into it'll come to me before this episode is over from what was announced today by Microsoft. But first up is a game that has been talked about a lot in the past couple of months. That is Forspoken for PS5 and PC. Unfortunately, a lot of what's been talked about hasn't been good. So yeah. So this is a new IP from Square Enix. Is an action RPG in Forspoken. It's a action role-playing game developed by Luminous Productions and published by Square Enix. In it, you play as a young woman named Frey from New York City who is about to turn 21 years old. Before long, she finds herself transported to the world of Athea, where fantasies and nightmares are suddenly very real. Now, I will say, Forspoken is one of those games that irked me when it was first announced. Not irked as in, oh, I want to play this, but the state of console gaming and the fact that there is a 2-year exclusivity window for PS5, and I'm like, 2 years really? For like, they expected to do gangbusters, and well, let's just say the reception for the game has not been exactly what they have wanted thus far. It looks like a cool game, and an interesting. I love new IPs. We talk about this all the time as far as we want companies to make new IPs. We're tired of seeing the same old game mechanics, the same old characters, the same old sequel after sequel to sequel. We want to see new IPs. So I am glad that Square Enix and Luminous took the chance with a new IP, took the chance with a lead character that's a female of color, mind you. So I hope that it does well enough to garner a sequel, because I would like to see them refine the mechanics and gameplay based on what I've seen so far. Now, I've not played the game. I've just seen reviews and I've seen some walkthroughs. So it looks interesting. How about you, Brian? What's your take?
I feel pretty much the same. Forspoken was a game, or is a game, I should say, that I was looking forward to moving into 2023. It's funny because they announced it, I believe, like around this time last year. Honestly, I think the Game Awards last year is when we saw everything coming for it. So I was like, all right, cool. And then over time, they had like delays and all kind of things, setbacks. I think it was supposed to be out March 2022, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe it was supposed to be out before this year, definitely.
Right. Either way, whatever happened with it, I ended up like not anticipating it just because I forgot about it. And then of course, it's come time for now, they want to put it out. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about this game, and it does look great, and I'm very, very interested in it. So seeing these reviews of people playing it and they're like, oh, it's not necessarily what we imagined it would be, I'm a little off put by it, but I still want to give it a try because I'm like yourself. I like new IPs, different. It's different. She's doing magic, and there's this whole parkour element to it that I'm really interested in. The negative that I've been hearing about it, they just gonna have to be negatives, because I'm gonna just play it and take a dive for myself, see what it's talking about. I think what may have hindered the game a little bit is the issues with the demo. If I'm not mistaken, I seen that the demo and launched, and then they immediately had to put out like a patch for it because something was going wrong in it. So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe that's where it stems from, because after the game has circulated the channels that people like to send the games to, like get their testing and stuff, IGNs and the game spots and stuff like that, the scores have gone up slightly, and like on like Media Critic and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm interested in the game. I agree with you. I hope it does well enough to get a sequel, because I mean, just the mechanics of it look great. And then I think about games like Horizon, who they didn't. I mean, it had a good it had a good like introduction into the world. Like from the beginning, people really liked the game, but over time they noticed little things about it. And then when Forspoken 2 came out, they like had completely improved the game, and it became like something now where they're bundling it with new PS5s in order to get PlayStation 5s out the door. So Forspoken can be one of those titles that if they really like focus on it, give it the attention it needs, they can definitely get a sequel, and the sequel could have better scores than the original. So I'm excited for it. I want to play it, get a feel for the game, and hopefully, we get some.
I'm excited. I'm going to watch some more walkthroughs. I think that one of the biggest issues, well, a couple big issues. One, I think something is only on PS5.
Yes.
And I think that's a detriment only because it's a game that's built for the PS5. Many people have seen it as underwhelming for a game that is built specifically for the PS5, garners that $70 price tag as well. And on PC, and for the specs that they're asking for on PC, a lot of people are trying to understand why. So you have all of that, the current gaming climate working against it as far as public sentiment. And then you put out a game that is okay. And look, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing wrong with a game that scores a 7.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with a game that scores a 6, in my opinion.
I agree.
Not every game is going to be a 10 or 9 or 8. So I think GameSpot had this when we were going live. It was 7.75. That's perfectly respectable for a new IP, in my opinion.
Definitely.
So for me, I don't have an issue with that. I just think the hype surrounding it, the pedigree of Square Enix, but also, like I said, I think that since it's PS5 exclusive, there is an expectation that doesn't seem like it was met as far as gameplay, as far as graphical fidelity, when it comes to this game, at least based on what people have said and people are playing thus far. So, a second go round, I think that they would definitely knock it out of the park based on what I've seen. But right now, for this first go round, is one of those ones where it's like, it's okay, but that's perfectly fine.
I think, well, I agree with you with that, but I also think what will probably be beneficial to them is to like test out a DLC, see if people respond well to the DLC, and then if that goes well, then they should probably move into looking to do a sequel. Just because, you know what I'm saying, like the first game, it's hard to like knock it out of the park, especially if you're trying to set up a franchise. I don't know what the plan is for Forspoken, but
they're trying to set up a franchise.
Yeah, but I'm saying it looked like it's something that at least gonna get a sequel. So test out a DLC, see how that goes, and then move forward. A lot of the main issues that I've been hearing outside of things you said also were like people having issues with the character being black, but the dialogue felt pandery and stuff like that.
I've heard that. Or she didn't sound like she was from New York. I'm like, I can get over that. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're just gonna have to be negatives.
I saw some clips and I'm like, okay, this isn't great, but this isn't horrible, and it's actually kind of funny and silly in a way. And I think that was the intention. Right. So
yeah, but either way, I'm excited for the game. So we'll see how it turns out when I get a chance to play it.
All right. So that's our take on Forspoken. Next up, we have Kingdom Rush, which is out for the Xbox One S and X. This is a strategy game from publisher developer Ironhide Game Studios. It is a tower defense game developed by Uruguayan-based Ironhide Game Studios. I'm like, they have publishers or game developers in Uruguay. That's great.
That's dope, yeah.
Yeah, and published by Armor Games. It was first released as a free Flash browser game way back in 2011, on iPad in 2011 and Android 2013, and then they ported it to Unity, and put it on PC in 2014, and now is making its way over to Xbox. So it's a strategy tower defense game. So, if you're looking for something in that genre, this is it. It came out on Switch in 2020. So the only system is not on this PlayStation. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It is.
In my opinion.
Sony been doing a lot of weird stuff lately. So,
and then the fact that a game like this doesn't drop on Game Pass. I was like, this seems like a perfect thing just to drop on Game Pass just because. But
true. now you said that now I'm concerned. Now I want to know what's going on. Not concerned in a bad way, just like interested in why
Right.
those decisions. Because I mean, if it's on Switch now, unless Nintendo got some fingers in the pot and they kind of pulling the strings a little bit, you would think like if it does well on the Switch, I could definitely get some money off the big consoles.
Right.
But
Exactly. And they ported to the Unity engine, so it would definitely run on PlayStation.
right.
So
I don't know. Maybe the developers got something. I don't know.
maybe.
Unorthodox they're trying to pull off. Who knows?
Who knows? Well, let's talk about another game that came out a long time ago that's making its way back to current consoles. And actually, it's not even current consoles, it's last gen consoles, and that is Risen. And that's out for the PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. Is an RPG from developer or publisher, developer Piranha Bytes and publisher Deep Silver. It's a fantasy themed action role-playing game. The game tells the narrative of an unnamed player character's adventures in Faranga, mountainous fictionist island ruled by the ruthless High Inquisitor Mendoza. Mendoza knows about a temple that leads to the interior of an erupting volcano, dominating the island, and the player character follows Mendoza's instructions to get entry into it. So it sounds okay. Nothing major. Apparently, there are like 2 other sequels to this original game. So this originally came out for the Xbox 360 and the PC back in 2010. So I believe they've updated the graphics for the PS4 and One and Switch. But who knows with some of the things we've been seeing now? A lot of things are coming out just straight ports. And again, there's nothing wrong with straight ports if the game is good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for lack of a better word, yeah. Nothing wrong with them as long as the game is good. I mean, still, you know what I'm saying? Give me some graphical enhancements a little bit. I'm not saying redo the game. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Make sure I got a good TV over here. Don't do me like that. But I feel you. Yes.
I'm surprised though they didn't just make this one backwards compatible on Xbox, do a Xbox One patch for it, and call it a day as a digital download instead of totally. That's peculiar to me. If you're going to remaster the game for a last gen system when you could have just made it backwards compatible. Okay. There are a lot of unanswered questions in these games this week.
Yeah, this week. Developers, y'all playing today? Okay.
Yeah. Hey, we just work here. Next up, we have Hitman World Assassination, and that's on everything. It is no PlayStation, all of them, Xbox, all of them, Switch and PC, action game from IO Interactive. So this game replaces Hitman 1 and 2. Actually, no, it replaces Hitman 3. So on digital storefront. So now instead of just Hitman 3, it'll also include Hitman 1 and 2 and adds a hub world. So it makes it this all-encompassing Hitman package now. So if you're into the Hitman series, you have a one-stop shop for it. This last iteration of Hitman 1, 2, and 3. So that's now out for PS4, 5, Xbox One, SX, Switch, and PC.
Yeah. Also, Hitman Freelancer is about to drop soon. So I believe they might be adding that to the package.
Okay. Yeah, I think it is supposed to serve as this kind of, I don't want to say games as a service, but it kind of acts in that now as far as they all kind of attach to that Hitman World Assassination.
Title. Yeah.
So with that hub world, because it reminds me of that back in the 360 days, there was a Halo hub app that you download with 360, and it brought in all of your Halo data together. So from 2, 3, and 4, particularly 3 and 4, Reach and ODST. So you saw these different highlights and stats all in this one sort of hub app that was separate from the game. So I believe that they're doing something similar with World of Assassination, and Freelance is going to intersect with that, I believe. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, which was last before announcements this morning happened. But next up, we definitely have the biggest hitter of the week, especially after the lukewarm response of the Callisto Protocol, which was in many ways a spiritual successor to this game we're talking about now. We're talking about none other than Dead Space. But this case, it is the remake of this game that is coming out just for current gen systems, PS5, Xbox S, X, and PC. Action survival horror from Motive Studios, published by, of course, Big Daddy EA. This is a remake of the 2008 classic. It baffles me that the original Dead Space is 15 years old.
I mean, listen, the game hits and the fans never let go. So
that actually blows my mind that much time has passed since the original one came out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's set in the 26th century.
We were like, what, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. That whole series was on those consoles.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they never made the jump to PS4 and Xbox One.
Wow.
Which is
what a time.
Sad, very sad. But if you're not familiar with the story, it's set in the 26th century. It follows the engineer Isaac Clarke, a crewman on the repair ship assigned to the USG Ishimura, a massive planetary mining ship that has gone silent. While investigating a distress call sent by the ship's medical officer, Nicole Brennan, Isaac's girlfriend just happens to be, the vessel's crew is attacked by mutated human corpses. Isaac is forced to fend for himself as he tries to save his surviving crewmates and learn the truth behind the loss of the Ishimura. It's always a woman. It's always a woman getting us into trouble. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
What else would they be doing it for?
So I'm excited for this one. I don't have a current gen system, but I will be watching playthroughs of this one because this one looks like it's going to be a beast. And I haven't seen any reviews yet on it, so I'm actually interested to see what the scores look like and really what the commentary is, because I know that when you have a series like this, a lot of the people who are going to be reviewing it are like fans of the original series. So I'm interested to see. Now, I've only played Dead Space. I played some of Dead Space 3, and I've heard that isn't as good as the other two. And I enjoyed the time I played in Dead Space 3. I'm like, I get why people love this game and love this series just from the 2 to 3 hours I put into Dead Space 3. So I know if I enjoyed it that much, I can only imagine those that have played through all of the originals, and then just diehard fans of the series. So I'm interested to see what they really think about this remake.
Yeah, me too. I'm not like super big on the horror games. I think we all know that at this point.
Right.
However, Dead Space is a little bit of a anomaly in my interest here because it has been out for quite some time. I hear great things about it all the time. I have friends that actually love playing horror games, and this is one that I'm familiar with, so I'm interested to see as well how like everybody responds to it, especially since it's a remake of a game that came out 15 years ago. The player base right now, like the generation of gamers today, like completely different than back then. So I'm interested to see new people get into it, as well as people who like actually are fans of horror games and know this is like one of the goats of it. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting time on Twitch because I'm gonna be
definitely
streams trying to see what's going on. But this looks cool.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. So I'm looking forward to that. And last but not least, we have finally one of the games I was looking forward to drop this year. We got a sneaky announcement this morning of GoldenEye 007 finally is going to be launching this week on the 27th of January on Xbox One, SX, and Switch. And of course, you can't really buy it. And I'll explain. So it is part of the Nintendo Online expansion pack. So you have to pay for the expansion pack service yearly, or it's on Xbox Game Pass. However, if you own the Rare Replay, or if you buy the Rare Replay, which is probably about $20, if it's not on sale, you'll get GoldenEye as part of that download. If not, it lives on Game Pass as a game you can play via Game Pass. So it is one that I'm excited for. The sucky part is there's no online on Xbox. There's online on Switch.
Yeah.
It's updated visuals in HD on Xbox, but it's the same 64 graphics on Switch. So there are trade-offs there, and I don't know how they worked out that deal. But I'm excited just to play the game again. And honestly, I never really played through the game. It was strictly multiplayer. That's all we did. This is sophomore year college. Us, you got about 10 guys in the living room on a little 13-inch CRT TV playing. Like, I have such wonderful memories of Goldeneye. So this is very much about nostalgia for me. So I'm excited for this one. As if you saw an episode about what we're looking forward to this year, you'll know why.
Yeah, I agree with you. GoldenEye, like, listen, legendary game. Like, I don't know if I had to think, like, well, no, because I had a Sega Genesis passed down to me as a kid. So I guess Pac-Man would be my first multiplayer game. But GoldenEye was my first multiplayer game that could do like 4 screens. And that was dope. Listen, 007, I really hope, because this is what I'm thinking, because you mentioned like, oh, there's only graphical improvements on the Xbox, no online play, but then you switch over to the Switch, same game, but we have online play. I'm really hoping that Nintendo is thinking about like creating a 007 live service game like in today's time, like a new one for Nintendo. And I'm saying that because I'm looking at games like Call of Duty that, you know, they own PlayStation and Xbox. Nintendo is a big console in its own right, but it has its own like world or whatever. Some of the things those games do on there that can't be done on the Switch, so there's no need to port them. It's like technologically it's not possible. So I'm hoping, or I'm thinking, them testing out or them releasing GoldenEye with this like online feature is them saying, okay, maybe we can step our toe into everything that Call of Duty and what's the other one, Battlefield, and all these other games do, like with the whole multiplayer thing, because I feel like that would be amazing. I just feel like that would be so much fun to take GoldenEye back around the block, you know what I'm saying, spin the block with 007 and Q and Top Hat and all these other great iconic characters, and like give them a brand new fresh game to like experience multiplayer with, because that was really the magic behind GoldenEye. We talked about this before. Don't know how the story ended for that game. Never had time to play it. Every time I turned on a Nintendo that had the 007 cartridge in it, it was always to play multiplayer with other people. And I really just, I don't know. I think that there's some room there, because all of the other multiplayers for the 007 games that have followed that have been great. Like I had Nightfire on PlayStation 2. I believe it was.
That's right. Yeah, 2. I've heard good things about that one.
Yeah, listen, that was a good one. There's something about running around. It's not Call of Duty. It's not Apex. It's not whatever other game you want to insert there. It's literally just 007 characters. They might have one special ability, and it's whatever gun you can find out who can shoot the fastest. That's what I want to play. I know Call of Duty kind of does the same thing, but that's war shit. I want to be a secret agent and just run around as 007. I don't know. I'm thinking outside of things, and I'm just thinking like maybe that's what Nintendo has planned. I hope they do anyway, because that would be fun.
No, I agree with you. I would love for that to happen. I think that we won't see any James Bond games until they pick a new James Bond and they fight out that license.
Right.
Honestly, because that's one of those licenses that has been weird. And also, since Amazon owns MGM, they might be doing it themselves and trying to farm it out. So who knows? But we're Amazon, not done yet with 007 GoldenEye. We have two trailers for you. First up, we're watching a Switch trailer, and then we're watching the Xbox trailer.
Okay. It's crazy. This is to be right back to the television in the 90s. So this is what the story looks like.
This is what I'm talking about when you need to update someday. We're talking about games. The look is Telling the nostalgia.
I hated because you got high ground on you, they can shoot down on you.
Damn proximity mines.
Right. I'm interested to see how people respond to this game on Twitch, because it has online multiplayer. Like, this is what we've been waiting on. And shout out to Golden Gun as well, because that was also another good game, James Bond game that could use a reboot. But let's watch the Xbox trailer, right?
Yep.
Okay, it do look a little better over here. A lot better.
Let's see what upgrades though. The sucky part is they've been sitting on this game for years. Like, they had a version ready for the 360.
Really?
But they couldn't get the licensing right.
Licensing? Why does capitalism have to put a goddamn fork in everybody's plans, bro? Just give us the stuff. We'll pay for it. Just give us
and
the
you
game.
know Microsoft would have paid for it.
Right.
Right. Well, we're getting it now. As of this recording, in 2 days, we'll be playing, so we'll be good to go.
Absolutely.
So next up, let's look at the trailer or some footage from the Dead Space remake.
Okay.
Brace yourselves. It's gonna smash us into the hull.
I think it's me. It's all falling apart here.
Hey, Isaac. Coming? Where is everybody? Up there! Kid! No!
Definitely.
This transformation, it's remarkable. Don't you want to be reunited with the people you lost? Our homecoming will be truly divine.
There's still a way out for us. But we don't have much time.
Okay.
I am happy this game is coming out, but watching this, it makes me mad that EA squandered a whole console generation with no Dead Space game. Because while not at the same level, Isaac Clarke's look is iconic. Like, he is so distinctive. Like, you may not know the video game, but you know he's from a video game when you see him. Like, EA has a character that they could have, and not so much when it was marketed, but a character in a game they really could have made a flagship title for them, and something that was unique and original and of their own. And it's something I think they really squandered. Because I just look at this trailer, I'm thinking, like, the character looks so badass. It's a character
that's character right there.
Yeah, exactly. It looks so badass, but more so importantly, it's so unique. He stands out. amongst the gaming populace of all the great characters we've known. And you got, again, 15 years. It's only been 15 years. And I don't know when the last game came out, but the last game came out on a 360. So you got to think what the PS4 and Xbox One came out, what, 2013?
Yeah.
So they've been around about 10 years now. So you're telling me it has been 10 years without a Dead Space game?
Yeah, I mean, and then the first one back in the saddle is a remake. Come on.
What that is a mismanagement of a franchise right there. And that's sad that this franchise was mismanaged to the point where you had 10 years without a new game in the series.
No, I agree. And yeah. Especially with everything that's happened in the past 10 years, you could have snuck something on PSP.
They could have done a lot.
Something. Yeah, you could have, definitely could have kept the franchise alive because
Dead Space 3 came out in 2013. So it's been 10 years since the new Dead Space game. That's EA has been known not to do right by their franchises, especially during that time period. So
right, because don't you want to make some money? Like you just gonna keep relying off of these sports titles, knowing that those licenses are fickle, and if the NFL or anybody want to come in and be like, "We're moving on," that you just out of it. Like, why would you do that?
Right,
he could have been up there with Master Chief by now. He could have.
Yeah, I agree. They really could have exploited the character and really gotten some, because they had the anime movie and everything as well, and they had that bi-rail shooter game. I think it was Ignition or whatever it's called. That was on the Switch. So they tried to do some things, but that was again that same 2008 to 2013 window, and then after that, nothing, absolutely nothing from EA. Like no anime series, no, like they didn't farm out like. That's a properly, with it being so unique, but still have those general hard tones. There are so many multimedia properties in this franchise, and they did nothing with them.
Yeah,
that's a travesty in my opinion.
I agree. Do better.
Right, so,
EA.
Yep, but it's EA. What you expect? They finally come around, but still, it's it's like talking about Xbox One and Dan Matrick as the head. And like there was so many mistakes. And yeah, the new boss came in, he's fixed things, but still, he's still paying for the mistakes that they did back then. So
right.
Last but not least, we have a game we talked extensively about in the opening of the show, and that is none other than the new IP from Square Enix, Forspoken.
It is quite beautiful.
Yeah, in
it is.
Everything here wants to fool you kind of way.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. You know I'm a world changer.
Looks really good. All this shit looks really cool, and I wanted to.
My biggest draw to this game.
Let's finish this.
She don't sound like she's from New York.
You better buckle up.
She sounds too California.
See, it was supposed to come out in October, and that was the second date. That's crazy.
Right. So that's our take on this week's in gaming. Brian, what's coming up for you this week?
I had to like to make sure I did it on the right side. This is coming out sometime in the near future. I've already begun recording an episode. I have another one it came out a couple of days ago. You know, if you interested. The other one is called, what is it? Golden Globes 2 Live. We talked about the Golden Globes and Everybody Black that won. That was amazing. Some music, obviously television, because I'll talk about that as well. And I did a review for Kotaku. They put out an article talking about the 31 most anticipated games or some title like that for 2023. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm excited for gaming in 2023. Let me check it out. Went through it, seeing if any of those games piqued my interest, seeing if they was on the money with some of those games that we talked about, we were excited about. Were they on the list? You have to check out the episode, find out, and get my opinion on it. But then the next episode coming out, I don't know, hopefully by the end of the week, we'll say that. Or when y'all watching this, people out there, when they come out, it'll come out. Just, you know, search Talk+Play blerdcast wherever you are interested in listening to the podcast, and that should come up very, very quickly. And then, you know, we'll be here on YouTube, Nerds Rule the World YouTube channel, doing the, you know, checkpoint and some other things. If you like other things we do, we be here. That's it for me. What about you?
Thank you, Brian. Well, recently, a couple days ago, episode 140 dropped of the Soto and Geek podcast. Covered a lot of stuff. Talked about Monster Hunter Rise, we talked about last week. Talked about my impressions of the Mandalorian season 3 trailer as well as Scream 6. Talked a little bit comics.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Talked about comics with Crossing number 6 from Red Stylo Media. Gave my review of Night Court, and I absolutely loved it. And of course, I'm talking about fragrances, Chocolate City, some other Black-owned fragrances, and Villain by Pete and Pedro.
Fantastic.
But of course, you are not on the Talk+Play broadcast. You are not on the Soto and Geek podcast. You are currently rocking with Nerds Rule the World. Make sure you find us and follow us on Twitter at the NRW, on Instagram at New Release Wednesday, and of course, you're currently on YouTube. So make sure you like, share, and of course, hit that bell, subscribe.
All right, now you heard what he said. It's right there.